A new film starring legendary Chinese actor Jacky tells the story of a team of genius robbers going head-to-head with a special police unit, packed with unbelievable action and intense adrenaline. Set in Macau, we're shown a group of robbers on their way to a bank to carry out a heist. The robbers are caught on surveillance cameras, and the police quickly dispatch a team in response.
At the same time, a hacker from the robbery gang named Shimon manages to hack the surveillance cameras, but the police remain unaware. They use AI technology to help locate the robbers. After the robber's position is identified, a beautiful police inspector named Lang instructs the field team to raid them.
The police immediately chase the robber's vehicle, but suddenly feel confused because the robbers aren't at the location. It turns out the police still haven't realized that the surveillance cameras have been hacked.
And this is
the Shadow's Edge.
The next day, two police officers, Captain Wu and his partner, visit the home of a businessman because his safe, which contained a flash drive holding cryptocurrency stored in the bank, has been broken into by the robbers. It is revealed that the cryptocurrency is worth 500 million Hong Kong dollars.
Well, Howard, that's the algorithm behind it. Do you know how...
Elsewhere, the leader of the robbers named Fu goes to a security firm to retrieve encryption data needed to unlock the cryptocurrency flash drive he stole. In truth, Fu is simply waiting for updates, as it's his men who are carrying out the operation. Not long after, Fu's men successfully enter the server room and begin copying all the important data. After all the important data is successfully copied, they prepare to escape, but the police arrive at the scene. Fu quickly steps outside, but is accidentally photographed by a barista. Realizing that the police are already aware of their operation, Fu immediately orders all his men to flee, and an epic chase becomes unavoidable. The police continue to pursue the robbers until a fight breaks out. Because the robbers are highly skilled in martial arts, the officers are overwhelmed, held at gunpoint, and eventually taken hostage. But Captain Wu doesn't give up so easily. While the robbers are distracted, he fights back. With all his strength, Captain Wu struggles and tries to break free from the handcuffs. However, being outnumbered, Captain Wu ends up brutally beaten by the robbers. Captain Wu manages to break free from the handcuffs, then resumes his pursuit of the robbers. However, it turns out the robbers have planned everything with extreme precision. They escape by jumping off the rooftop using parachutes. Captain Wu refuses to give up so easily. Then, the police tried to stop the robbers, but the robbers are far beyond their level. As a result, the officers are easily defeated. The skilled robbers begin infiltrating the hotel and go undercover, while the police refuse to give up so easily. Meanwhile, Simon, having successfully accessed the hotel's server, immediately deletes the surveillance recordings. Seeing that the police are about to capture his teammates, Simon quickly shuts down all security cameras. Captain Wu then orders his team to spread out. At the same time, Lang orders all officers on duty to activate their body cams so every face can be identified. Realizing this, Fu immediately instructs all his men to follow his lead. The police continue searching until Captain Wu suddenly realizes that he had just crossed paths with one of the robbers. The officers are completely confused, as the robbers have disguised themselves as hotel guests and staff. After searching relentlessly, Captain Wu finally spots one of the robbers, but unfortunately, he fails to catch him. A while later, the police higher-ups hold a closed-door meeting after yet another failure to capture the gang they've been hunting for a long time. Captain Wu apologizes for not carrying out his duty properly.
Lang tries to defend Captain Wu, saying the robbers are highly skilled and that they need the help of an experienced officer named Wang. However, Captain Wu disagrees, believing Wang is not familiar with modern technology, especially now that the police are assisted by AI. Because of this, Captain Wu and Lang are ordered to do whatever it takes as long as the robbers are caught.
Catch them, do your job.
The next day, a beautiful officer named Chao Jio is assigned to follow Wang. Chao Jio is shocked when Wang suddenly approaches her and asks why she's tailing him. She pretends she isn't following him, but Wang then explains everything in detail, from the exact time to every movement she's made. Chao Jio is left speechless, amazed by Wang's extraordinary skill.
Chu Zhao explains that she and Wang haven't seen each other in a very long time. The last time was when she was only 8 years old. From this, we learn that Wang was a close friend of Chu Zhao's father. However, her father, who was also a police officer, died while on duty. Still curious, Chu Zhao tries to test Wang's abilities, but once again, she is left speechless. Wang truly is an exceptional officer.
Wang arrives at police headquarters and is immediately shown the surveillance footage from the robbery. The officers there stand in astonishment when Wang reveals that the robbers had previously conducted reconnaissance, proven by how well they understood the placement of every security camera. The police begin identifying all the robbers, and Wang requests that the suspected faces be displayed on the main screen. Captain Wu then immediately holds a meeting to discuss who the leader of the gang might be. Wu says that the previous day he saw someone who could possibly be the mastermind. Wang, recognizing the man, explains that in the late 80s he was a wanted fugitive, a former special forces operative known as the Shadow due to his exceptional ability to disguise himself. The Shadow came to Macau and carried out dozens of robberies. Because the existing photo wasn't clear enough, Wang requested that the police conduct direct surveillance to confirm it. However, Wang is informed that there is no longer a surveillance team as it has been replaced by AI. Still, Wang insists that a surveillance team is necessary and suggests assigning officers who don't look like police so they won't be easily identified. One day, Chi Jio is seen practicing when she is suddenly bothered by her colleagues. Chi Jio feels unappreciated and constantly underestimated, as they claim she only became a police officer because her father was one. Unwilling to accept that, Chi Jio fights back and beats them. With her skills, Chu Guo beats them easily, leaving the other officers astonished. Despite her small build, she proves that she is not weak and that she deserves to be an officer because of her own abilities.
Hu Jio tells Wang that she is always underestimated, even treated as if she doesn't exist. Being constantly belittled makes her feel like her fellow officers don't care about one another. Wang responds saying that coworkers do care and that none of them ever want to see someone die.
1 week later, Wang gathers all the officers who will be trained to become the surveillance team. He selects those whose appearance doesn't resemble typical police officers, making them harder to detect. Wang then conducts training and teaches them everything he knows.
Wang immediately begins field practice to uncover who the true leader of the robbers is. He assigns the team to apply everything they have learned. Unlike the others, Wang asks Qiu Jio to accompany him first while they monitor the team. Like most spy units, Wang gives each member a code name, such as avocado, tofu, rice noodles, pudding, egg, and others. Meanwhile, Wang gives Chu Jio a special code name, Little Pinky. Meanwhile, Simon is seen at an orphanage, the place where he, his sister, and the others were raised. From this, we learn that Fu is their adoptive father, who has now turned them into a gang of robbers. Meanwhile, Simon's twin brother, Sai Wang, is seen shaving Fu's beard. Suddenly, Fu asks whether Sai Wang has ever thought about killing him. Shocked, Sai Wang responds, questioning how he could ever bring himself to kill the adopted father who raised him. Fu then says that if he were to be killed, the stolen cryptocurrency could be distributed to the others, especially since he is already old and close to death. 2 weeks later, the surveillance team is still conducting reconnaissance, and Shujio still hasn't received any assignments. As she's about to return to the car after buying a drink, Shujio unexpectedly spots a family being assaulted by thugs. Wang orders her to return to the car immediately, but she refuses and chooses to approach the thugs instead. With full confidence, Shujio demands they leave, but instead of obeying, the thugs attack her. Kyujio fights them off, but because she's outnumbered, she struggles to defend herself. Just as she is about to give up, Wong suddenly appears and takes down the thugs. In an instant, he defeats them and throws them into a trash bin.
Wong brings Kyujio back into the car while scolding her for not following orders. He tells her that the incident was not their responsibility, as they are currently on a different mission. An argument breaks out because Kyujio is tired of sitting in the car without being allowed to conduct surveillance.
Kyujio cries, saying that her father died because Wong failed to protect him. Kyujio expresses deep disappointment, as she and her father hadn't seen each other for almost a year before his death. Hearing this, Wong becomes sorrowful, and finally explains what truly happened.
We flash back to the past, to the time when Wong and Kyujio's father were conducting surveillance on a drug mafia. In the middle of the mission, Kyujio's father noticed a child about to be kidnapped, and he asked Wong to save the child. Without realizing it, his presence was discovered, and he was shot and killed on the spot. After hearing Wong's story, Kyujio finally understands that her father's death was not Wong's fault. Wong says that being a police officer always comes with risks, and that sometimes it's better to carry regret than to make a fatal mistake. Moments later, the team finally locates their target, and without wasting time, Wong orders everyone to follow him. He reminds them to work carefully, as several surveillance teams have been spotted before, and the target is sure to remember every detail of those encounters. To ensure the plan goes smoothly, Wong assigns Kyujio to join the operation as well.
The surveillance team begins approaching the target, but because he keeps his head down and wears a cap, he is difficult to identify. Realizing that the team members have previously encountered him, Wong orders them to turn around and avoid making eye contact with the target.
Wong then assigns Kyujio to approach the target. Using her cleverness, Kyujio pretends to look for something she dropped, so her movements appear natural and don't draw suspicion. The plan works. Kyujio successfully confirms that the person is indeed the target, none other than Fu.
Moments later, Kyujio reports that she has entered the apartment while tailing Fu. Wong quickly checks the surveillance footage to ensure Fu hasn't noticed her, but he suddenly becomes anxious because Fu was seen glancing when Kyujio touched her communication device. Realizing Kyujio may be exposed, Wong immediately rushes after her. Fortunately, Wong arrives just in time. Fu had already grabbed a knife and was about to kill Kyujio. Wong quickly takes her communication device and replaces it with a pair of earrings so Fu won't notice. Once the situation is under control, Wong retrieves an apple that has been fitted with a hidden camera to monitor Fu. From there, Wong tells Kyujio not to look back, as Fu would grow suspicious. Using his skills, Wong secretly breaks into a neighboring apartment so their operation remains undetected. However, the apartment turns out to be occupied, and Wong quickly covers the owner's mouth to stop her from screaming. Meanwhile, the other surveillance team continued to tail Fu and install multiple CCTV cameras. After a long and exhaustive monitoring process, the police finally managed to locate Fu's residence. With that discovery, it would be much easier to anticipate his moves if he ever planned another robbery.
Wong and his team began installing surveillance devices while collecting clues, from leftover food to even a Sudoku sheet. They were puzzled to see that Fu had filled in the Sudoku with the wrong numbers. The police held another meeting to discuss how to capture Fu. The police chief explained that Fu was a man of strong principles. Wong suggested that the police should avoid making Fu feel threatened by instead following whatever plans Fu would come up with.
3 days later, Wong went shopping at the same place as Fu, and in order to get closer to him, Wong even invited Fu to have dinner together. Wong's disguise was almost exposed when Fu noticed the calluses on his hands, just like someone who is used to holding a weapon. Wong quickly explained that he was actually a gambler and was very skilled at playing cards.
That night, Fu came to Wong's place, but still suspicious, he checked the dust around the apartment. Wong noticed this and quickly asked Fu to show his cooking skills. Wong was amazed because Fu handled the knife so skillfully. He never expected that Fu was such a great cook.
Wang, Quijio, and Fu had dinner together. During the meal, Wang scolded Quijio for constantly using his phone. While putting his own phone down, Fu commented that if he had a child, he would also forbid them from using their phone while eating. Little did he know, it was all part of Wang and the team's plan to hack Fu's phone. A while later, Fu returned to his apartment, and Wang and Quijio began checking the contents of Fu's phone. In the middle of it, Quijio thanked Wang for protecting her. Wang was deeply moved and said that it was the only way to make up for her father's death. On the other hand, Simon had hacked the surveillance cameras and made it appear as if Fu was just sitting in his chair doing nothing. Simon reported to Fu that he had sent other members of the gang to eliminate Wang.
Wang heard someone coming, and without wasting any time, he quickly opened the door, but suddenly,
it turned out that the person who came was Shi Wang. With all his strength, Wang tried to fight back. He kept dodging and attacking, even with his bare hands. Despite no longer being young, Wang continued to fight because he refused to die before capturing Fu.
Meanwhile, the surveillance team realized something was wrong with the security cameras, and suddenly Quijio arrived. Seeing that, they immediately headed to Wang's apartment, certain that something was happening.
Turned out they arrived too late because Shi Wang had already escaped, but fortunately Wang was unharmed. Although he was exhausted, Wang felt relieved knowing that Fu was still in the apartment and hadn't done anything suspicious.
Shi Wang and Simon were extremely anxious because their plan to eliminate Wang had failed, and of course that made Fu disappointed. Simon couldn't believe that Shi Wang had wasted such an opportunity. The next day, Simon contacted a team of assassins to break into the digital vault at the police station to smooth out their plan. Without anyone noticing, Simon had already infiltrated the server and hacked all the security cameras. The police finally raided Fu's apartment, but he was no longer there. Wang ordered the surveillance team to split up and follow the taxi that had just left the building. Not long after, Wang received video footage from inside Fu's apartment. He immediately grew suspicious. Why were the bubble wraps neatly stored inside the cabinet when Fu had already used them? Suddenly, Wang remembered the Sudoku filled with wrong numbers, but then, with brutal force, Wang's car was rammed again, flipping over and knocking him unconscious. Moments later, the hit squad hired by Simon arrived, attacking with reckless ferocity. Qiuzhou tried to wake Wang up, but from a distance, the hitmen could be seen approaching. Qiuzhou quickly cocked her gun, then immediately pulled Wang out of the car. Seeing the enemies off guard, Qiuzhou swiftly shot at them, and a shootout became unavoidable. Xiao Jio showed her skills by shooting the enemies. Not long after, Wang regained consciousness and helped Xiao Jio fight the hitmen. Wang and Xiao Jio displayed great teamwork and managed to take down the attackers. Wang then told Xiao Jio that the numbers on the Sudoku weren't ordinary numbers, but coordinates. Wang asked Xiao Jio to pass that information to intelligence to find out what Fu and his gang were actually planning. On the other hand, the surveillance team managed to tail Fu and reported to Lang that Fu had entered an orphanage. Lang immediately contacted Captain Wu, but suddenly the power went out at the police headquarters. At this moment, the assassin squad had been secured, but Wang couldn't hold back his sadness because many officers had fallen. Wang brought Quijio to meet Lang, asking what had really happened. Lang explained that the attackers were a private security force that usually worked at a casino. Finally, the power at headquarters came back on, and they all rushed to the vault room. Seeing the vault door wide open, Lang immediately realized that the attack earlier had been a diversion, and the robbers had disguised themselves as the officers who claimed they would secure the vault. From this, we learned that the stolen crypto wallet could only be opened with a special encryption code stored inside the police headquarters vault.
On the other side, Simon was devastated to learn that Fu had died. In reality, Fu had sacrificed himself for all his adopted children so they wouldn't get caught by the police. But the other robbers insisted that Fu wasn't that noble and that killing him had been the right decision.
跑得掉，才能过。
And it turns out, Fu wasn't dead and had actually survived. He cried hysterically, unable to believe that he had accidentally killed Shi Wang, the adopted son he loved the most. Captain Wu and his team arrived at Fu's location and ordered him to surrender. But Fu demanded to be taken to a place called Wind Palace if they wanted to capture the entire gang of robbers. The information was relayed to Lang, and without hesitation, the police were immediately deployed. It turned out the robbers had just arrived at Wind Palace, but from a distance they saw the police cars approaching and immediately scattered to avoid being caught. Wang and Xu Jiao quickly chased after them, not wanting to lose the chance. They split up, searching every room for the robbers, and when Wang entered the laundry room, he was suddenly attacked and a hand-to-hand fight broke out. With all his strength, Wang fought the robbers. When he found an opening, he contacted Qiu Jiao and told him to find Simon immediately. Wang was overwhelmed, having to fight 3 people at once, but with his extensive experience, he managed to defeat them, even stuffing them into a washing machine. Meanwhile, in order to find Simon, Captain Wu asked Fu to contact him. Fu used this opportunity to warn Simon that the police were looking for him. Fu also cried, hoping that all his adopted children could live good lives. Only then did the police realize that Fu had been stalling for time so the entire robbery crew could escape. At the same time, Qiu Jiao continued searching for Simon, trying to stay focused until he finally spotted him. But just as Qiu Jiao was about to contact police headquarters, his communication was suddenly cut off due to signal interference. After that, Fu returned his phone to Captain Wu, but suddenly, Fu dropped it on purpose. Captain Wu quickly bent down to pick up the phone, but then... Surprisingly, Fu attacked the officers, leaving Captain Wu completely overwhelmed. Fu defeated them with ease and then escaped. On the other side, the surveillance team had already identified Simon's characteristics and immediately began their search. A fellow operative named Avocado approached Qiu Jiao to give her a new earpiece so she could reconnect with the others. When Avocado returned to the car, he accidentally spotted Simon. Not wanting to lose the chance to catch him, Avocado followed Simon without informing the team. Avocado kept tailing Simon toward the station, but suddenly he was stabbed with a knife by Fu. Avocado stayed silent, knowing that if he screamed, their surveillance mission would be exposed and the entire operation would fail. Moments later, Fu managed to catch up with Simon, but then... It was completely unexpected. Fu stabbed Simon repeatedly with the same knife. In his dying moments, Simon hugged Fu one last time while repeating the message Fu always told his adopted children. A short while later, Qiu Jiao and Wang arrived at the station and were shocked to see Avocado on the verge of death. Qiu Jiao tried to press on Avocado's wound to stop the bleeding, but it was useless. Avocado had already lost too much blood, and in the end, he died. One day, Qiu Jiao went to see Captain Wu, asking to return to duty in order to catch Fu and the rest of the gang, but Captain Wu said that their unit had now been assigned to a new mission. Of course, Qiu Jiao was very disappointed. She didn't want Avocado's death to be in vain. Feeling extremely upset, Qiu Jiao said that she would take a leave of duty. Not long after, Wang approached Qiu Jiao to collect the photographic evidence. Wang said that money always leaves a trail. Qiujio replied that the cryptocurrency stolen by Fu had not been transferred at all.
第一受害人汪杰的加密货币被转出来的所在位置。
Qiujio is convinced that Fu is a technologically inept robber. She believes that up to now, Fu still doesn't know how to convert the cryptocurrency into cash. Finally, Qiujio and Wang plan to resume surveillance in order to capture Fu.
干嘛要走呗？
The next day, Qiujio and Wang conducted surveillance at the home of the owner of the cryptocurrency stolen by Fu. It turned out that the person had made a deal with Fu to buy back the cryptocurrency that Fu had stolen. Qiujio went to surveil the meeting between the cryptocurrency owner and Fu. It turned out that Fu demanded a ransom of 10 million Hong Kong dollars, and the flash drive containing the cryptocurrency would be returned. Qiujio planned to use this opportunity to capture Fu. At the meeting place, Qiujio was approached by Fu in frozen fear, especially since the backup team was still on the way. Qiujio tried to stay calm, pretending not to recognize him, because Fu's appearance looked different.
一个人。
Moments later, Qiujio felt slightly relieved upon seeing Wang outside, but Fu had also noticed Wang's arrival. As Qiujio was about to leave, she was suddenly choked by Fu and fell unconscious. Although Wang arrived late, fortunately nothing happened to Qiujio, and Wang now faced Fu directly. With all his strength, Wang continued to fight Fu, but Fu's combat skills left Wang overwhelmed. Wang used anything around him to try to defeat Fu. He was truly struggling, as Fu wielded a knife, slashing his cheek and successfully stabbing Wang's arm. Wang tried every possible way to defeat Fu, but he was immobilized as Fu stepped on his arm, the knife still lodged in it. With all his strength, Wang struggled to break free, but suddenly, Qiujio regained consciousness and immediately struck Fu on the head. Because of this, Fu was about to finish her off. But with all her strength, Qiujio trying to fight back. Seeing that Qiujio was about to be stabbed, Wang quickly got up to attack Fu. Wang and Fu were both exhausted, but each still wanted to finish the other off. Having lost a lot of blood, Wang couldn't withstand the attacks and his neck was stabbed. As Fu was about to deliver the final blow, Qiujio quickly attacked, sending Fu flying. Qiujio quickly rushed to Wang, tending to the wound on his neck to stop the bleeding. In such a critical condition, Wang asked Qiujio to go after Fu again. Qiujio continued searching for Fu, but couldn't find him at all. In that moment of decision, Qiujio remembered that Fu's arm was bandaged. It didn't take long for Qiujio to finally find Fu, but Qiujio felt unable to capture him alone. Fortunately, the surveillance team was already there and ready to assist. Now Fu was completely surrounded. He couldn't escape, but instead of surrendering, Fu laughed out loud. At that moment, Wang also arrived.
Qiujio immediately approached Fu, saying that he wouldn't be able to escape anymore. Reluctantly, Fu surrendered, but requested that Qiujio personally handcuff him. But suddenly,
using her skills, Qiujio managed to fight Fu and bring him down. After a long struggle, Fu was finally captured, and Qiujio herself handcuffed him.
过我退休的生活去吧。
The end.